Hello everyone, bringing you a recommended reading video today. I haven't made one of these for a little while. They're not particularly popular compared to other uploads, but nevertheless I think some people find them useful, and it's something I wanted to make to talk about this. Handbook on the British Army of 1943. Now, you'll note Handbook on the British Army rather than of the British Army, and there's a reason for that which we're going to get into in the video. So without further ado, we'll have a look at this in a little bit more detail, talk about what's in it and why I think it's useful. So, Handbook on the British Army, 1943. This is actually, well, it's based on a handbook produced for the US Army in the UK, which details the organisation, the equipment, the vehicles, some of the weaponry of the British Army at the time. Obviously, this differed somewhat from US Army practice in terms of organisation, the equipment used, the equivalent items of uniform, clothing, etc. So this was intended, or that the contents which have been used to produce this book were intended to assist the US Army in working with the British Army, obviously. And from that point of view, it's an excellent overview of the British Army at the time. So edited by Chris Ellis and Peter Chamberlain, as you can see here, book club edition. It's published by PBS, as you can see there. We open this up. We start off with, we have organisation at the start here. We have administration, higher organisations, and you can see here we have the different districts within the UK. So the map with the breakup there, which is quite useful, quite an interesting thing to have a reference to. We move further through. We have information on various units. We have obviously parachute forces, parachute troops. We have, as you can see here, the formation, the strength of an infantry brigade and how that's organised, as you can see, and various other formations will be detailed at the start of the book. We have details of what units carry and in what quantity. So we have sort of what would be carried with a division, for example, and we have here collapsible and inflatable boats, bridging equipment, and obviously diagrams of how those function, which is quite useful as well. It's a real overview of all sorts of different topics to do with the British Army at this time. We move through, we have towards the midsection here, we have, there we go, we have the NAFI mentioned. And then if we move through here as well, we have so ranks, uniforms and insignia in overview, and this covers the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force as well to a degree. We obviously have diagrams of battle dress and the 1937 pattern web equipment there, or photographs. Royal Navy substantive and non-substantive rate badges and so forth there. Royal Navy officers' caps, for example. So all sorts of illustrations. We have the cap badges of various British Army corps and regiments here, useful for identification purposes. We move on to, we have weaponry here, so we have some interesting information about the Bren, obviously talking about British small arms. Numbered diagram there, information on pistols and rifles used at the time as well. We have both the number 4 here and the rifle number 1 Mark III, as you can see. We have anti-gas clothing and equipment there as well, as mentioned. So you have both the anti-gas cape and the anti-gas suit there, as you can see. Artillery, so 25 pounder, the 6 pounder, 2 pounder, and then more information on small kit as well. A nice photo of a kit layout there. And obviously there's a lot of text to accompany all this. Obviously we have armoured vehicles at the time. British Army somewhat in a state of transition at this point, so you have some earlier vehicles which were obviously being phased out of service, and obviously more modern stuff covered as well. See more information on that there. Useful table of information, and it just carries on in that vein. You have all this sort of different information, vehicles, so you have organisation, small kit, weapons, vehicles, and so forth, and you do have a section to the rear on tactics as well, so various different forms of manoeuvring and assaulting fixed positions and that sort of thing. It's really is a catch-all. Certainly to not in a massive depth, but it certainly gives an excellent overview of the British Army at the time, which is why I would recommend this. It's an excellent sort of primer, I suppose you could say, on the British Army's ethos, its equipment, kit, and so forth at the time. Now, you'll find interesting a lot of the weights and measures and so forth, although Britain was using the imperial system at the time. Fuel measurements, for example, are given in US gallons, which is obviously because of the origins of this as a handbook for the US Army. But as I say, I can highly recommend this. It's a very useful overview. It provides a very useful overview of the British Army in this mid-war period, and obviously a lot of it is applicable for the British Army going forward, and quite a lot of it is applicable for the British Army at the start of the war as well. So a very useful book, and one I can highly recommend picking up a copy of. They do turn up, they're not particularly hard to find, and it's a very useful thing to have. I hope you found this interesting, and as I say, hopefully if you haven't already got a copy, you'll try and seek out a copy of this handbook. It's very useful. I've certainly found it very useful. Hopefully you'll find it so if you do pick up a copy, and hopefully you've found this video interesting anyway. If you have and you'd like to see more from the channel, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below. That will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below, and as ever, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those methods. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in contact but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down there as well. But that's everything for this video. So until next time, bye for now.